Greetings. This is Doc Ock coming at you live and direct from Black Facts Headquarters Central today with another installment of Doc Ock at noon and 9. Hoping everybody's feeling real fine. You know we are feeling real divine right over here at Black Facts Headquarters Central. Continuing on with our story of the Queen of Sheba and her only son, Menelik. Yes, as delivered to us by the one and only E.A. Wallace Budge, with all those that alphabet super letters behind his name. I can't even tell you what they all are. But definitely one of the foremost authorities on ancient African history. Somebody who is fairly reliable. I can't say he's totally reliable, but he's been fairly steady over the years. I've come to know his works fairly well. So we're going to be reading from his tome today that comes from the Glory of the Kings, otherwise known as the Kebra Nagast, and continuing this story of Sheba and Solomon. Now, you know the story up until the point where Sheba and Solomon get together and do the nasty, but you never heard about any consequences. So then the question becomes, was Solomon impotent? Was the man firing blanks or what? And that's what we're going to find out today. Meanwhile, let's go ahead and have everybody give us a like if you're watching on Facebook. Give us a thumbs up if you're watching on YouTube. And for sure, if you don't do anything else, tell your friends and your family what we do here on a daily basis on Black Facts. The Black Facts channel, Tubular Black Facts on YouTube, 7 days a week. We do different kinds of programming on different days, but we are here every day, and we're coming to you today with a special edition because this story is too important not to tell it in its fullness. So we're going to tell this one in its fullness because it is the story of stories that goes beyond what we learned in the Song of Songs. That's right. So pay attention, stay tuned, and we're going to be bringing you some of the really good stuff in just a minute here, right after we read our proverb of the day. And the proverb of today from Ethiopia is, "The cattle is as good as the pasture in which it grazes." The cattle is as good as the pasture in which it grazes. All right. Interesting proverb from Ethiopia. Now, moving on to our story, our continuing saga of the Queen of Sheba and her only son, Menelik. Let's see what we've got to offer you today in that realm. Make sure everything's working here. Oh, yeah, it's working just fine. All right. And you see here in front of you the conquering line of the tribe of Judah. That's right, the conquering lion. King of kings, Lord of lords, conquering line of the tribe of Judah. All right, here we go. Concerning the sign which Solomon gave the queen. That's the last section that we read. Concerning the sign that Solomon gave the queen. And basically what he gave her was a ring and said to her, "Assalamu alaikum, go in peace." And they separated from each other. Part 32. And the queen departed and came into the country of Bala Zadasaria 9 months and 5 days after she had separated from King Solomon, and the pains of childbirth laid hold upon her, and she brought forth a man child, and she gave it to the nurse with great pride and delight. And she tarried until the days of her purification were ended. And then she came to her own country with great pomp and ceremony, and her officers who had remained there brought gifts to their mistress and made obeisance to her and did homage to her. And all the borders of the country rejoiced at her coming. Those who were nobles among them she arrayed in splendid apparel, and to some she gave gold and silver and hyacinth and purple robes, and she gave them all manner of things that could be desired, and she ordered her kingdom aright, and none disobeyed her command, for she loved wisdom, and God strengthened her kingdom. And the child grew, and she called his name Benalakum. And the child reached the age of 12 years, and he asked his friends among the boys who were being educated with him, and said unto them, Who is my father? Who is my father? Who my daddy? That's what he wanted to know. And they said unto him, Solomon, the king. And he went to the queen, his mother, and said unto her, O queen, make me to know who is my father. And the queen spake unto him angrily, wishing to frighten him, so that he might not desire to go to his father, saying, Why dost thou ask me about thy father? I am thy father and thy mother. That's what she told him. Seek not to know any more. And the boy went forth from her presence and sat down. And a second time, and a third time, he asked her. And he importuned her to tell him. One day, however, she told him, saying, His country is far away, and the road thither is very difficult. Wouldst thou not rather be here? And the youth Benalakum was handsome, and his whole body and his members and the bearing of his shoulders resembled those of King Solomon, his father. And his eyes and his legs and his whole gait resembled those of Solomon the king. And when he was 22 years old, he was skilled in the whole art of war and of horsemanship, and in the hunting and trapping of wild beasts, and in everything that young men are wont to learn. And he said unto the queen, I will go and look upon the face of my father, and I will come back here by the will of God, the Lord of Israel. Part 33, how the king of Ethiopia traveled. And the queen called Tamrin, the chief of her caravan men and merchants, and she said unto him, Get ready for thy journey, and take this young man with thee, for he importuneth me by night and by day, and thou shalt take him to the king, and shalt bring him back hither in safety, if God the Lord of Israel pleaseth. And she prepared a retinue suitable to their wealth and honorable condition, and made ready all the goods that were necessary for the journey, and for presenting as gifts to the king, and all that would be necessary for ease and comfort by the way. And she made ready everything for sending him away, and she gave to the officers who were to accompany him such monies as they would need for him and for themselves on the journey. And she commanded them that they were not to leave him there, but only to take him to the king, and then to bring him back again to her, and when he should assume the sovereignty over her land. Now there was a law in the country of Ethiopia that only a woman should reign, and that she must be a virgin who had never known a man. But the queen said unto Solomon, henceforward a man who is of thy seed shall reign, and a woman shall never more reign. Only seed of thine shall reign, and his seed after him from generation to generation. And this thou shalt inscribe in the letters of the rolls in the book of their prophets in brass, and thou shalt lay it in the house of God, which shall be built as a memorial and as a prophecy for the last days. And the people shall not worship the sun and the magnificence of the heavens, or the mountains and the forest, or the stones and the trees of the wilderness, or the abysses, that which is in the waters, or graven images and figures of gold, or the feathered fowl which fly, and they shall not make use of them in divining, and they shall not pay adoration unto them. And this law shall abide forever. And if there be anyone who shall transgress this law, thy seed shall judge him forever. Only give us the fringes of the covering of the holy heavenly Zion, the tabernacle of the law of God, which we would embrace or greet. Peace be to the strength of thy kingdom, and to thy brilliant wisdom, which God, the Lord of Israel, our Creator, hath given unto thee. And the queen took the young man aside, and when he was alone with her, she gave him that symbol which Solomon had given her, that is to say, the ring on his finger, so that he might know his son, and might remember her word and her covenant, which she had made with him, that she would worship God all the days of her life, she and those who were under her dominion, with all the power which God had given her. And then the queen sent him away in peace. And the young man and his retinue made straight their way, and they journeyed on and came into the country of the neighborhood of Gaza. Now this is the Gaza which Solomon the king gave to the queen of Ethiopia. And in the Acts of the Apostles, Luke the evangelist wrote, saying, he was the governor of the whole country of Gaza, and eunuch of Queen Hindake, who had believed on the word of Luke the apostle. Part 34. How the young man arrived in his mother's country. And when the young man arrived in his mother's country, he rejoiced there in the honor which he received, and in the gifts that were made to him. And when the people saw him, they thought him to be the perfect likeness of Solomon the king. And they made obeisance to him, and they said unto him, hail, the royal father liveth. And they brought unto him gifts and offerings, fatted cattle and food, as to their king, and the people of the whole country of Gaza, as far as the border of Judah, were stirred up, and they said, "This is King Solomon." And there were some who said, "The king is in Jerusalem, building his house." Now he had finished building the house of God. And others said, "This is Solomon, the king, the son of David." And they were perplexed, and they disputed with one another. And they sent out spies mounted on horses who were to seek out King Solomon and to find out if he were actually in Jerusalem or if he were with them in Gaza. And the spies came to the watchmen of the city of Jerusalem, and they found King Solomon there, and they made obeisance to him. And they said unto him, "Hail, may the royal father live. Our country is disturbed because there hath come into it a merchant who resembleth thee in form and appearance without the smallest alteration or variation. He resembleth thee in noble carriage, and in splendid form, and in stature, and in goodly appearance. He lacketh nothing in respect of these, and is in no way different from thyself. His eyes are gladsome, like unto those of a man who hath drunk wine. His legs are graceful and slender, and the tower of his neck is like unto the tower of David thy father. He is like unto thee exactly in every respect, and every member of his whole body is like unto thine." And King Solomon answered and said unto them, "Where is it then that he wisheth to go?" And they answered and said unto him, "We have not inquired of him, for he is awesome like thyself." But his own people, when we asked them, "Whence have ye come, and whither do ye go?" said, "We have come from the dominions of Hindaki," in other words, Kandaki or Candace, "and Ethiopia, and we are going to the country of Judah, to King Solomon." And when King Solomon heard this, his heart was perturbed, and he was glad in his soul. For in those days he had no children, except a boy who was 7 years old, and whose name was Rehoboam. It happened to Solomon, even as Paul stated, saying, "God hath made foolishness the wisdom of this world." For Solomon had made a plan in his wisdom, and said, "By 1,000 women I shall beget 1,000 men children, and I shall inherit the countries of the enemy, and I will overthrow their idols." But God only gave him 3 children. His eldest son was the king of Ethiopia, the son of the queen of Ethiopia, and was the firstborn, of whom God spake prophetically. God sware unto David in righteousness, and repented not. "Of the fruit of thy body will I make to sit upon thy throne." And God gave unto David his servant grace before him, and granted unto him that there should sit upon the throne of Godhead one of his seed in the flesh from the virgin, and should judge the living and the dead, and reward every man according to his work, one to whom praise is meet, our Lord Jesus Christ, for ever and for ever. Amen. And he gave him one on the earth who should become king over the tabernacle of the law of the holy heavenly Zion, that is to say, the king of Ethiopia. And as for those who reigned, who were not of Israel, that was due to the transgression of the law and the commandment, whereat God was not pleased. Now we'll stop right there and pick up on part 35 in the new day. But as you can see, we're coming right on through this story, and there's much, much more to the story than what we've been told. We've only been told about Sheba and Solomon getting down at Solomon's place, and then Sheba left town. You know, she got some wisdom from Solomon and booked up. We were never told that they had a child. Yes, they had a child, apparently out of wedlock. So here she is. What do you call them? A single mother, right? The son asked him, "Where's my daddy? Who's my daddy?" And all she could tell him is, "I'm your daddy and your mama." Shut up, kid. Sit down. Stop asking me all them daggone questions. Now, if that sounds familiar to you, 3,000 years later, so be it. So, all the shade that's been getting thrown on black women and the black family because of the single mothers and so on and so forth, and all this stuff that we've been getting, yeah, maybe they need to look into their own history a little further. Maybe we need to look into our own history a little further before passing judgment on all these unwed mothers, all these single mamas. So in the meanwhile, we're going to go ahead and clock out here. We're going to leave you now, and we'll be back tonight again at 9 o'clock. Look for us then when we continue with the story of Abraham Anabal and the Raiders of the Sands. So we've got Ethiopia coming at you from more than one perspective for the whole month of July in celebration of the 129th Earth Day of Haile, His Imperial Majesty, conquering line of the tribe of Judah, Haile Selassie the First. Be here or miss out, or just catch it later on a rewind. You can do that too. All these presentations are recorded. You can find our whole playlist on our Tubular Black Facts channel. The playlist is Doc Ock at noon and 9. So if you go there and you go to that playlist, you'll find over 600 stories that we've told over the last year. We plan to reach a goal of 720 stories well before the end of the year. So that'll give us, in school years, you have dog years and people years. In school years, that'll give us 4 school years worth of material that we can share with our young people. And this has been our goal, is to develop a curriculum, online and free. But we still need your support, so we need you to do a couple things before you go. Number 1, give us a like if you're watching on Facebook. Number 2, if you're watching on YouTube, go ahead, give us a thumbs up. And last but not least, go ahead and make a donation. Donation buttons are right below. If you're on your mobile, go to your notifications area. You'll find a link in there to make a donation. If you're on YouTube or Facebook, you can look right below on your on any other device. You can look right below our live streams, and you find a donation button there that will either take you to the website or directly to a donation button. So please go ahead and make those donations, because we're not over here on vacation. We're turning what we're doing into a vocation. Peace with justice, because anything less disgusts us. We're just going to give a shout out to Alfred over here and Roxanne Freedove. Peace out, y'all, while we go into our extra.